Welcome back to my Commodore 64 Games Memories video series. This is where I look at old games and some of the technical details behind them. Today we have Ghosts and Goblins, published in 1986 by Elite Systems. Code and graphics by Chris Butler. I'm going to have a very quick look at the disc and tape versions, the sprite multiplexor, the level data in memory, a hidden message, and also a long ago remembered cheat code and the sprite sheet in memory. So yes, if you like these kind of technical deep dive videos, then please do consider liking or subscribing to this channel or sending me a super thanks. They are all always very much appreciated. This is the disk loading version, and it just seems to be streaming memory from disk into the C64's memory. Not that quickly. We've just got a loading screen come up. It doesn't seem to be doing too much technically difficult on the disk drive anyway. It's just loading the data relatively quite slowly. So it seems to be loading this chunk of memory here, and then in a very short while it will swap out the kernel up at the end of the C64's memory view here, and it will copy it to underneath the kernel, and then it will continue loading the real data into RAM at this position. There we go, that was the copy that went on, and now this is the real data. Now this real data that's located in RAM now, which is where actually the game accesses it from, so I think it's loading a bunch of graphics data and then putting that underneath the kernel ROM first in the RAM underneath the kernel. But this data here now seems to be structured in a way which resembles the level map, doesn't it? Let's see if we can get to a larger memory view here in the C64 debug GUI, because this is looking rather familiar if you are familiar with the Ghosts and Goblins full level map. Let's see if we can find that memory view here. We can see another copy of it there. Let's just get the large memory view. There's a better memory view. Look. So it seems to still be loading level data in memory. Wow, look at that. Okay, so this expanded view here. Now, this memory view in C64 debug GUI is very useful because it shows different colored characters for the different data that's in memory. So it kind of like highlights the loaded level map quite usefully. Now, this map seems to start at roughly 4000 in hex. We'll validate that later on. I'm just guessing here, judging by the proportion of where the memory for the level data map seems to start in proportion to the whole of the 64 kilobytes of memory in the Commodore 64. So we'll just wait for it to finish loading. It's just loading, there we go, and that's the title screen. And we can see here that we've got the Ghosts and Goblins title screen logo coming up in sprites. We've got the score display panel down at the bottom. Now, I remember when I had this game, I remember thinking it a little bit strange that the score panel display was always at the bottom, even on the title screen, but I'm guessing it just saves on a whole bunch of code. There seems to be a little sprite here. Maybe that sprite is to help stabilize this split, because having a sprite over the split at this raster position here helps to stabilize the CPU timing, because each sprite will steal some cycles from the CPU, and that can help to stabilize the CPU cycle timing and help to stabilize the split. But we can definitely see here that there is a split. We can see in the display mode there, it's indicating that there is invalid bitmap mode 2 in that split area. Now let's run around a little bit. So we've got these red highlighted boxes which highlights where each individual sprite is being drawn, and we can see that we've got the sprites for the score panel, we've got the sprites for the game display as well. If I just go by the number of sprites in the game display, sometimes there are 7, sometimes there are 8, sometimes there are 9 sprites if the plant is shooting a projectile at the player as well, and if a zombie is carrying a pot, or a jar rather, then there seems to be more than 8 sprites in the game display area, ignoring the sprites that are obviously being used for the score panel as well, for the lives and the currently selected weapon. There we go, we saw a little artifact there where the zombie's legs were floating around in the air, and that's basically an issue with the sprite multiplexor not having enough time to update the sprites properly. So the sprite multiplexor in this base version, this original version anyway, of Ghosts and Goblins, I mean, it's functional, but it's not that great, to be honest. But, you know, it mostly works, kind of. But it's very hard, this game. You could see that you couldn't actually see the full player character there because there was a limit of 8 sprites in a horizontal band. Let's switch to the memory view in C64 Debug GUI in the memory map view, and if I move around you could see this blue rectangle moving around in the memory map as the screen scrolls around. So that really does indicate, doesn't it, that this looks like the level map data. Let's load this game now in ICU64, which we can use the tape version now when we use ICU64. So we've just got this Nova load at the beginning, and the Nova load is loading some data almost right down at the end of memory, practically, probably at C000. That's interesting. In the graphics map view there, we can see a timer, a little counting up clock or a stopwatch, but it's not visible in the C64 main screen there. I think the screen is enabled because we can see the Ghosts and Goblins thing, but it was sitting on a black screen for quite some time. When I had this game, and it was the Elite release, maybe it was a compilation release, I'm pretty sure that I remember on the tape version seeing the counting up little stopwatch thing to indicate that there was tape activity. But evidently in this tape image that I have from the tape archive, it's actually not displaying, at least in this emulated version of Vice. So now we have the same, I think it's the same loading screen as the disc version. It looks practically identical. And we've just got the normal kind of like flashing multicolored bars now on the screen as the tape loader finishes its load. And then we get to the title screen. As usual, let's hunt around in the memory. Here there seems to be, well, there's the screen for the game, or at least for the title screen at the end of memory there. Just cycling through. Doesn't seem to be too much else interesting at the moment. When the title screen tracked mode loops around, I can see that there's a green rectangle being copied there from what looks like the level data. So the level data also seems to contain the title screen there. And there we go. So we go into the game, and actually this horizontally scrolling level here seems to be copying from the level data up above where the title screen is. Now I remember a very old cheat code, poke 4242, 42. And so I'm putting a breakpoint, or I just put a breakpoint on memory location 4242 in decimal. But I just noticed in the memory view map there, look, when the player jumps around and everything, there we go, I just fired a projectile and it just hit this routine here. But anyway, yes, the collision with the map data seems to be just reading from the map level data. So the projectiles come up as green in the map level data. Hopping out of that routine that it's just broken into seems to do a JSR and then a branch not equal if the projectile has hit nothing. Let's put a breakpoint there and then shoot. There we go. So this cheat code that I remember, poke 4242, 42, is the answer to life, the universe, and everything. If you get that reference, then congratulations. But anyway, it seems that this routine at 1085 does collision detection with at least probably the weapon. And so if I remember rightly, poke 4242, 42 would of course change the code in this routine, and it would have something to do with the collision detection. So anyway, looking again at what the memory view shows in terms of red bytes from the memory view, we can clearly see those lighter green pixels for the player collision detection, for the enemy collision detection, and also the player's projectile collision information as well, just reading the information from the map view. Which, because the map view seems to be uncompressed in memory, uncompressed characters, then that kind of makes sense. But anyway, let's recreate this poke statement. So 42, 42, 42. It's just stuck in my memory for the past, I don't know, what, 30 years or something like that. So anyway, let's use the monitor to poke decimal 42, 42 with decimal 42. And let's put a break at location 42, 42 in decimal again. Let's fire. Look, instead of the code that was there previously, it's changed the instruction to be an ROLA and then does an immediate RTS. Ah, look. Yes, that's right, it's a smart bomb. I remember now, just, oh gosh, this dredges up some really old memories. So yes, this makes the game a lot easier, because every time you fire now, you get like a smart bomb effect. You'll notice actually in this memory view here that there's no writes or reads for the color memory in this memory view. So this part of the level doesn't actually scroll any color data. In fact, I don't think this game actually scrolls any color data at all. I think the way that this game optimizes the scroll is that it's probably just doing a top-down, left or left-right, then top-down copy of the uncompressed character-based map data in memory, just to the single screen that we can see. I think it's a single screen's worth of data updating in yellow at the end of the memory view. So there we go. I'm still using the smart bomb effect as a good cheat. Let's see if it gets rid of the monster at the end. I think it does. Just fire once. There we go. Destroyed very quickly and simply. So the next level has vertical scrolling in it, and we can actually see that the green rectangle moves around as the game scrolls, moves around, which is kind of expected, really, isn't it? But yes, this part of the level still doesn't update its color RAM data, so I don't think this game actually does any color RAM scrolling at all. There we go. We can see there that the screen at F400 just has a single buffered screen there, so this definitely tells me it seems to be doing a left to right, top to bottom copy. No matter which direction that the game scrolls in, it's always doing a left to right, top to bottom copy from the map data. And for this instance where we have uncompressed character data, it's actually the most optimal way of doing this, not in terms of memory, but in terms of CPU execution time. Because you're always chasing, if you need to, the raster beam going down the screen. So as long as you start the copy with enough time and at a good place, so probably just where the score panel starts drawing in terms of screen timing, raster timing, then as long as you do a copy chasing the raster beam all the way down the screen, then you don't really need to have a double buffered text screen. You don't need to have two text screens or a double buffered arrangement at all. You just need to have the single screen, and you can chase the raster beam down. So that's what this game seems to be doing. So in Charpad, let's open up the Vice snapshot that I just saved earlier on. Now, where's that snapshot? There we go. GD. Right. There we go. And it was, well, we don't have any tiles. We know that the map starts at roughly 4,000 in hex. We know that the map width is going to be 256 because that was in alignment with the width of the debug memory map view in C64 Debug GUI and also i64. And there we go. There's the character set. And we have a visible map, and it's in left to right, top to bottom format. And there's the character set being used for the title screen, so we can see the title screen data. We can see the main character set is being used for the main level map there. And that's basically it. We can use the nice Charpad editor to rip out the graphics data just from a Vice snapshot very, very easily. The modern tools make this kind of thing extremely easy, don't they? Now we'll just pick some more sensible multicolor values here just to make the map easier to see. Let's scroll around a bit, see what we have. Well, we have a whole bunch of the expected level data, of course, at the end. What's that there? On the right hand side there seems to be some data in memory. Well, that's at row 95, but we started getting the map data from 4000 in hex, if you remember. So that's 4000 in hex plus 95 in decimal in terms of 256 decimal bytes map width. So let's change this to be map height 256 by 256. Do a re-import. And then we'll just set the map start address to be 0 in memory this time. So when we scroll around now, we will know precisely exactly the high byte, if you like, of where the map data is in memory, and then we can deduce where this is going to be by using the coordinate picker. We can still see that the title screen data is there too, the title screen and the score table actually. Let's re-import that, but just really double check that by recalling the previous configuration and then just choosing the character set. There we go. Title screen and also the new high score. So title screen and high score screens are also in the map level data. Well, you might as well put them somewhere, so I guess, put them there. They could have been compressed and actually, would have saved some space for code. Anyway, so this blob of data here in memory is a little bit suspicious, isn't it? So let's see if we can have a look in the memory debug view in Vice as it's still running. It's still running the game there. We need to figure out the address. That's 9F, so it's going to be 9F, the end of 9F00 to 9FFF. Let's have a look. Look, okay, so there's a bunch of spaces, the 20 in hex there. There's a bunch of spaces, which is screen code space character, and we've got block. And we've got block C000 with a dollar in front of it. So that looks like it might be remains of a machine code monitor printout or something like that. Maybe that's where the machine code monitor's screen was when these game chunks were being loaded into memory, or maybe that's a remnant of the level data editor that's being used or something like that. So that's an interesting little thing to find hidden there. There isn't really enough of the memory. There wasn't really enough of the message to give me a much better hint about maybe what machine code monitor it might have been. There, to be honest, there were many of them in the C64's lifetime, and it would be a little bit difficult to track down exactly which one. So let's have a look at this scroll routine. So we'll do a watch store. There we go, and we've just got a memory watch point there on the scroll routine. And yeah, the scroll routine just basically is doing a left to right, top to bottom copy. Let's put a breakpoint there. We can see on the right hand side there that the screen is just shifting down row by row, and that's because I put a breakpoint on the load Y with 27 there. So it's just, yeah, it is. It's just basically chasing the raster beam as it goes down the screen. Let's step each row again as it's doing the copy. Yep, there we go. That screen copy is definitely chasing the raster beam down the screen. And that basically confirms how optimized this game is for drawing its map level data. It doesn't need a whole bunch of different routines to scroll the screen in various different directions, and it doesn't need a routine to draw map tile blocks or anything else along the edges of the screen. It just does a full copy, left to right, top to bottom. Up here we can use the Vice color RAM debug memory map view there, and we can see actually on the first level we've got, because it's scrolling horizontally, we've got these horizontal bands of light green, light blue, light green, light blue, light green, light blue. I think it's light blue, or maybe it's just blue. Ah, well, it comes out with blue, but it's using light blue in the color RAM, and that's multicolor blue, I think it is. Anyway, so yeah, so basically we seem to have, on a horizontally scrolling level, we have these horizontal bands of color in the color ramp, which is certainly one way of introducing more color into the level data without needing to scroll the full color ramp. But on this level, which does a whole bunch of vertical scrolling as well, we've got a consistently colored or constantly colored color RAM set up here, and of course it's still not scrolling the color RAM. I noticed when I was looking through the code that the memory locations 344B and 344C were being read to set up a whole bunch of pointers in the top to bottom level data map view. And so there we go. If I update those values, I can warp myself around the level data map, which only takes effect when the screen starts scrolling next. But the player's collision and enemies and stuff like that do take into account the warped map position if I update it in the machine code monitor, which is, you know, kind of interesting to kind of like find those two memory locations which deal with the player's location in the map. Last but not least, let's open up the sprites graphics map debug view there, go through the memory, and yes, there we go. We've just got a whole bunch of sprites in the last VIC bank there, somewhere between C000 and the end of memory at FFFF. So there's a ton of sprites, but this game uses a large level map very well. It uses a single sprite sheet very well. I don't think I saw any evidence of dynamic sprites being used in this game. The memory is jam-packed full of this quite huge level data map, the music, the code needed, and then of course all of the graphics data, the character set data, 2 character sets in fact, one for the title screen and the score panel I think, and one for the main level data, all crammed in memory there. So this is the score entry with some nice music. I think we'll leave this video there. Thank you very much for watching these Commodore 64 Retro Games Videos Memories series. If you like this kind of video, then please do consider liking or subscribing to this channel, and I hope to catch you around next time. Have a great day, evening or night, wherever you are.